Hello. Welcome to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Mike. As you
My
can
name is
see,
Ray.
I'm joined by Ray and Josh.
Hi.
Gentlemen,
Hello.
how are we doing?
Much better
Fantastic.
than last month.
Doing great.
The world
It's
the
a great
world
time.
the world feels very different than when we podcasted last, but also the same but still different. It's very
It's
weird.
like exactly the same and yet somehow worse. You love to see it. I do not, in fact, love to see it. But this isn't a podcast about those things. This is a podcast about video games that occasionally, very purposefully, accidentally stumbles into those discussions.
Accidentally.
Like when
Accidentally.
the president almost died. That was, a thing that happened.
Man.
Could get his kid. Just saying.
Oh yeah, Don Jr. is still sick with COVID.
I hope his time with the virus passes quickly.
Oh, darkness.
Hello, darkness. Yeah. Woof.
So can we get that out of the way real quick, like before we start getting into it? It's been a weird holiday season holiday season because while we're recording this, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Man, typically, people always say like, "Oh, October is like one of the best months for gaming." It's been like a weird October this time around because there's a lot of people that want to start getting back into gaming, but they're also just like sitting on their hands, like, "Man, am I still going to be employed in the next couple of months?" Because times are still very, very weird around the pandemic. We are still very much in and has not gone away to the chagrin of a couple conspiracy theorists that we don't need to get into.
We don't have time to unpack all that, but yeah, it is like, as we'll talk about, they launched some new consoles, and it's like, they don't plan these things. They can't plan for these things, but like, man, real kind of crazy to be like launching a console in like the beginning of probably a big economic downturn. Like,
Yeah.
You can laugh at me and tell me that I was a big dum dum in 6 months when that doesn't happen or whatever, but just weird vibes. The vibes are off because we're dealing with a rampaging, unchecked killer pandemic.
Yeah,
it's really killing my vibes. Okay,
it's one of those things where games are supposed to be an outlet. They're supposed to be an escape. They're supposed to be a way to unwind, express yourself, to enjoy a story, and that is almost more important now with so many people being home or so many people being out of work. But it is also up against the realities of the capitalistic side of the games industry, of like, these are high-end luxury items that cost a significant amount of money, which are also encountering their own supply difficulties because of not only the pandemic but other factors, scalpers. So like, you want to be excited about the next new shiny thing because it's the next new shiny thing. It's exciting. It's fun. It is something to talk about. It is something that people want to experience. But it's also like, again, with all those caveats of like, well, it's released during a pandemic and it's having all these scalping problems and yada yada. You have people who bought these $500 new boxes who, anytime anybody is an early adopter, is bound to have glitches, and it's happening, and it's like almost more amplified because of all the problems surrounding the console launch and the pandemic that is raging during that time. So
yeah, I guess like as far as like games, it's not as bad as TV because now the TV has caught up to like, now they're doing like coronavirus SVU episodes, and it's just like, I'm not a big like SVU person, but like the last thing I think I want to watch is like serialized programming about the coronavirus.
Especially
like,
when there's like technically no end in sight. Like there's been, at this time of recording, talks of a vaccine, But until that's actually like launched in full force, I
Yeah.
don't think it's like responsible or even entertaining to have like televisions. It's like having a television series about like the Vietnam War, like the first year it starts. It's like, is that really in
It's
good
just
taste?
it's just weird. It's just funny because like anytime a character talks, they like very obviously take off their mask to be like, look, we have a mask on, and then they just like start talking. It's like,
Yeah, that's.
well, it's
But there's all
funny.
this is a weird thing too, where it's like, okay, now that they're starting to be like COVID TV, like TV, TV that has happened during COVID, like This Is Us is also going through that, and a lot of other shows. There are literally shows about like Zoom calls, but also watching shows from just a few years ago and seeing times where people are together and they're in a crowded room or they're at a bar. There's also a weird disconnect there too of like, y'all motherfuckers are gonna die. What are you doing? You are this
Yeah.
close to the person you're talking to and you don't know them. They've got the Rona. Get out of there. And I'm like, oh, that was a time before we cared about like, shit like that. It's very
Back in the
weird.
days when you could blast particulate into the face and ocular
Cavities.
components of the homies.
Yep.
You know,
Back in the day.
back in the
Back
good
when you
old
could
days.
open face kiss homies on the mouth.
Yep.
Those were the good days.
Dr. Fauci, I just want to kiss my homies on the lips.
Please
When
give
can
me
I-
that
when
Rona
can I-
vaccine.
Please, doctor, I need it.
Uh,
No.
Okay, no. Okay.
Speaking of
Have we
console launches-
asked Tony Romo if he is going to be the one delivering the corona vaccine? Just asking.
Why would that matter?
I mean,
I
he's
have
out
to
there.
know.
He's out there slinging coronas to people every day. I think
I'm
he's
done. I'm done. I'm out.
he's the perfect person.
Stop it. Okay.
I mean, Tony Romo's probably a pretty likable guy, right? I mean, there could be like worse people.
I would let Tony Romo give me the vaccine. Period.
Such a simp.
I mean, yeah. Again, there would be like worse people, right? Like,
I would not let Don Jr. give me the shot. I'll just say that right now.
Okay, yeah, no. Okay, so while we're talking about this is kind of tech related. I have decided like, and I know this is like anti-Josh, but it is what it is, and it gives me some peace. Anytime someone says to me on like Facebook, like, "Did you know this is all part of some great big conspiracy?" I ask them like, "Hold on, I literally don't have time to speak to someone that's A, not a statistician, or B, not a medical professional. Like, I know you're not either one of those things. I know, no discredit to you guys that do. I know you work at the Applebee's down the street in like a small ass town. I don't need advice or any speaking
know.
from you, and I
It's
don't
like-
block them. I just exit out the conversation.
the funny thing to me is just like, no, dog. There are plenty of like real as heck, actual conspiracies that are real. That are real. They are factual things that have happened that
Mhm.
can satisfy your itch. You don't have to make up ones. There are real ones that actually happened,
Like the Tuskegee
and they are still
experiment.
happening. And you can, and these are things that you can do. You find independent, actually verified people with actual credentials confirming these things.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
it's fun.
Like someone I talked to was anti. They said that they didn't trust any coronavirus vaccine that's going to come out because of the Tuskegee experiment, and they were also African American. And I said, fair point. That's fair. I think that's a reasonable thing to
Yeah.
say out loud.
Yeah, and then you just have to understand that, like, yes, this individual person may be making an odd decision, but at a certain point, it's also, I think, a failure of our government to overall a significant period of time to do the work that needs to be done to get the buy-in from all parts of the public
Yeah.
for something like that to be truly effective. So
Well,
wanna
thank
get
you for
back to
listening to
video
Unscripted Politics. Stick around
Oh,
for
we
our
finally
next.
made it happen. No, Josh brought up console sales and how it's affecting some people on like an emotional level when they get it, and it might brick because apparently some PS5s and Xbox Series X's are bricking, And that's like, okay, so for every news outlet, every Twitter person, everyone making a big deal on this, like that's happened every single first gen console release
Yeah.
ever. I think the last time it didn't happen was with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Back when
Especially
they were,
if you're blowing a bunch of vape smoke into your Xbox.
oh my
Like those
gosh.
videos going around. Those are
Vape
super funny.
I have never been more happy in my life as
Watching
a
vape smoke going
vape
through it.
culture aficionado, watching people like, because I mean honestly it's the perfect medium for it. Like you throw some fucking black lights behind it, you know, an RGB strip or something. Ugh, you're gonna get some sick shots, man.
I don't think. Anyways, what I was getting at was, even though there's a lot of talk of like, and Mike is right, the economic downturn that we're currently in, because if you don't believe me, and dipping slightly back into politics, like go look up online the gigantic bread lines in Texas right now, hours and hours long, people waiting to be given bags of food for free because they can't eat or something like that.
No, Ray, those are things that actually, that means it's good. That means it's working. No, that's good.
No, it's good that that's happening.
It's bad that
the
it has to happen.
The bad part is we got into that point and we didn't have to.
Yeah.
That aside, I wanted to say like Sony and Microsoft are not struggling to sell out of these consoles. Like I said, okay, I'm in a stable place in life. I guess I'm fortunate. I will go ahead and try to buy a PS5. Not happening. Like it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen in another year.
So I was going to talk about this kind of in the tech minute later, but I mean it's kind of related because also we had the Ryzen 5000 series processors launch a couple weeks ago, and the 6000 series graphics cards release just this week. Both of those sold out immediately. I was trying to get a 6800 XT graphics card because I was like, you know, whatever, let's see what happens. I refreshed the Amazon page it was supposed to launch at 9 a.m. I refreshed it when it said, you know, product available soon or whatever the page said, is like, this product's not yet listed, at 8:59 and a half to like get it right at 9 o'clock. I refreshed the page as the clock ticked to 9 and it already said unavailable, email me when in stock. I never even got to see like an add to cart button. Oh my god,
that's
like,
so funny.
The bots got you.
Yeah. Now, granted,
use the like NORAD ass like comms station to like pre-order an Xbox. That's what you need.
You're not faster than a bot, Josh.
No, I'm not. I'm really not. The Best Buy page never even changed out of coming soon. I don't know if they even got any. So now that launch had its own problems, but you know, very similar thing of like, we are in a time of unprecedented demand for these pieces of hardware, and there's a lot of emotion riding on it, and you know, it's been very interesting to watch. You know, I'm sure like with the media hyping up the errors in the consoles that happen, which are completely normal, very similar to the, you know, the people on Reddit who are screaming at AMD and Nvidia about like, oh, these are paper launches, you guys literally just said these products are out there and they were never actually available. It's like, no, we're just like, there's only so many to go around, and we have never seen demand like we have seen in 2024.
You think
entertainment and hardware
by now, like out of the people who are buying a computer graphics card the second it launches, you think that those people more than anybody else would understand that when they can't make they can't make one for every single person who wants one for all possibilities
right
on
off the bat.
First day, and then it's just something that they cannot and will not do because of very simple reasons that have been demonstrated time and time again and again and again. It happens in every single game when like the servers crash and you have a queue for like the new Destiny expansion, like when you have to like queue to log in. Like there's a reason why that always happens, and you would think that those people should know that by now, but it's, It's
Well,
just
and
fun.
everybody also like in at least in the graphics card space, like these graphics cards, these chips for AMD and Nvidia are all made for the PlayStation and for the Xbox are all made by TSMC on their 7 nanometer process. So like TSMC can only make so many chips, and they're going to only allocate so many chips to each manufacturer, and then those manufacturers, Nvidia and AMD, have to divvy up their things accordingly. Sony and Microsoft get their allotments. Like there are so many layers there. Like there's only at a certain point you cannot sit on inventory for so long without just saying like at some point we have to just release it and then continue to make more.
Yeah. It's like there's just no understanding that they can't actually just have like, here's infinite money, make infinite chips. They cannot do that.
I actually like, maybe it's just because I'm getting older and that's what I'm gonna blame it on. I take like serious issue when people like get on like long rants, like angry rants, and yes, even death threats when it comes to, hello, my name is consumer, I can't buy frivolous product right now. Like, don't get me wrong, I love games, I work in games, but if you can't get a console or like a graphics card, a GPU right now at that second, it's like, you can wait. It's cool.
If that's your biggest problem, maybe chill. Okay.
Yeah, like literally a century, once in a century pandemic is going on.
Please
Maybe,
chill.
yeah. Please calm the fuck down. It's gonna be all right.
If you're an early adopter, you more than likely already have one of the last gen consoles. There are very few exclusives for these new consoles that are worth solely buying for. Yes, they're cool and they're amazing and they're only going to get better. And I get the allure of like wanting to be an early adopter and being like, yeah, I got it day one. I've done it before. Ray, you and I waited outside of a Best Buy dressed up to be the first 2 people to get a Wii on the launch day. Like, I get it. But if you don't get it, it's okay. Like,
yeah,
you will probably actually get a better product because manufacturing processes get better, bugs start to get worked out. It's eventually the stock will be there and you will get one. I really the Ryzen processors have been out for a few weeks now, and I'd really like to get one because I would like to upgrade my machine. I want to have a little more production capability, but like I can't buy one right now, and that's okay. I will get one eventually.
Yeah, you'll be fine. That's a Mike promise.
And if anything, again, with
the Mike promise, I love
Mike
it.
promise goes here.
The chip that I buy in 2 months will probably be better than some of the ones that are available right now, just because the processes of manufacturing those get better. The yields get better.
Yeah. If you want some cold, here again. This is free. You do not pay me any money for this take. Do you remember y'all remember Joy-Con drift?
Oh yeah.
What if your processor had the equivalent of Joy-Con drift?
My first gen Switch,
what if you waited like 3 weeks to not have, or a little bit longer?
I mean, some of the
Joy-Con drift.
Some of the Nvidia cards that they were talking, some of the partner models had issues with resistors and whatnot that were, because they didn't have enough time to work on the boards, were causing problems. And like, yes, there was some firmware patch, but again, so yes, that's exactly it. Like, the first run is never perfect.
My
you
first
are the guinea pig.
Yep.
Switch I got on release day. It not only has Joy-Con drift, it's only gotten worse with time to where the buttons now desync. And when you're playing a game of Hades where every second counts, you immediately notice when your buttons automatically desync and they just don't work in those seconds, and there's nothing I can do about it.
It's so bad the right Joy-Con is slowly turning into the nub from the 3DS.
I actually replaced the analog stick in my left Switch, my left Joy-Con. Like, it got that bad, and my wife was playing Animal Crossing, and her character would just like wander away, and she wouldn't be able to move her. And I'm like, okay, time to do surgery.
My Joy-Con drift has been bad ever since I started playing Breath of the Wild. Like, it was bad day one.
Ooh.
It's always been there,
Ooh.
and so the way to solve that, at least for me, is when you have both Joy-Cons plugged into the Switch, it works fine. But when you detach them, kind of a crapshoot. So $70 later, you buy one of these and problem
Yeah.
solved.
I just Pro Controller is great.
Pro Controller is
I like
great. 70
Pro Controller's
bucks,
good.
little.
It's a lot of money.
Credit towards battery life. That thing lasts for days.
Oh my god, yeah, it lasts forever.
I love that shit.
That's nice.
Gentlemen, do you mind if I start talking about some weird ass games I've been playing lately?
Go for it,
Ray, I
King.
would love nothing more.
So on Amazon, when I was buying my normal Amazon stuff, it was popcorn. They said, by the way, due to the types of games that you normally buy on Amazon, we think you'll like this game. It's called Project Sylphid. And I was like, oh, what's this? It's like Macross, but you can't turn into a robot. You're just flying around in jets that fire a lot of missiles and it's in space. That sounds cool. And when I saw what year it came out, I was like, oh, this came out in 2006. Okay, it's a first run Xbox 360 game. Has very anime cutscenes in that it's 3D models, but they have anime like faces and talking. So I play it, and it's another one of those games where I like played it for a couple hours on a Saturday, then I turned off my 360, packed it up, put the game in the case, put that on the shelf. It's bad. I think we were. I'll get to the next game I was playing as well, but okay, the next game I was playing, this is in line. Josh, you remember Armored Core 3, right?
I do.
That is actually one of my favorite giant robot games ever. If not, actually, it is my favorite giant robot game ever. Like, I haven't found anything that comes close. And every time I play a new Armored Core game, I think like, man, I hope it's like Armored Core 3, and they're not. So I bought the sequel to Armored Core 3. There's a direct sequel. It's called Armored Core Silent Line, or Silent Line Armored Core. It picks up right where Armored Core 3 leaves off. I said, all right, I've never actually played this. I start playing it. It's just Armored Core 3, except a lot harder and a lot less forgiving. And I have discovered that with older games, like mid-2000s games, we were very forgiving of video game difficulty. Like, we just kind of accepted that games were short, but they were just really, really hard. And I think I've hit a point, and this is what I'm getting at, where I just don't have the patience for those types of games anymore, you know? I know there's like this big discussion every so often of like games are too hand-holdy, the tutorial sections are too big, or the recent FromSoft games were like, oh, they don't hold your hand enough, or there's no variable difficulty. Call me a masochist. I loved Sekiro because it actually had a lot of sections that tutorialized you. I love Bloodborne because it actually had a lot of sections where it tutorialized you. Dark Souls 3, I haven't played the Demon Souls remake, but don't worry, it's on the list. But most other games I played nowadays, Ghost of Tsushima, what have you, they have big, long tutorial sections. They have videos that show you what's going on. That stuff is like, we take that stuff for granted. Go back and play like an old game like I recently did from like 2003, 2007, and you're like, oh my god, we're spoiled now. Jesus, they just throw you in there, and they're like, get good, scrub. And
yeah, that first off, Ray, why do you keep letting yourself get hurt like that? Second,
I'm done with the Armored Core series. No, I'm done. Before you go on, I am officially done with the Armored Core series.
Wow.
Done. Nothing will ever be as good as Armored Core 3. I've made peace with that.
There are some things where I'm like, you know, yeah, like I go back and I play Super Metroid every once in a while, but like there are also there are parts where I'm like, there are some games from my memory from my childhood where I'm like, it might be just better left to the memory, because like there's a part of me that wants to break out my PS2 or like get an emulator and play SOCOM. But I'm worried that if I were to play SOCOM today, it would taint the memory of it. But I do think that that's like, we don't realize that, yes, you know, that was a tactic in the Nintendo days, and we think of like, oh, games are hard just to make them longer and get more value out of it. Like, that's something that happened for a long time, and you know,
long time.
And I'm also of that, like, that value proposition of like, you know, sometimes there's a sweet spot there, because sometimes games can be not that difficult but too long just for the sake of being too long as
Sure.
well. Like, you know, my big example is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I really like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I think it has a very interesting story, but oh my god, there is so much filler and fluff in between everything that adds a little bit here and there, and they do a really good job of tutorializing you, and you know the progression is fair, and you know you get abilities and things that go along, but like at a certain point it's just like, okay, I get it, you want me to get my money's worth and you're going to give me 80 hours, but like I didn't need 80 hours for this.
Ubisoft they did that with Valhalla too. A lot of the reviews haven't played the game, so mind that. A lot of the reviews I've read or watched for Valhalla are talking about like this game is way too long for its own good. So I think they copied that page from Odyssey, and I
Yeah,
think Ubisoft is trying to do its best to be that company that gives you the most game for your buck.
and
Um,
that's not always what you want.
No, like I'm the type of person where if your game is 20 hours long, we good, fam. We perfect. We're done. I got a couple weekends in. I'm gonna go hit slide on over here and play something else. You got your 60, $70. We're jobs are good.
I don't need it to be hard for the sake of being hard, and I don't need it to be 80 hours for the sake of being 80 hours.
Now, when you say hard for the sake of hard, what modern game do you mean?
I don't know. Um, in some ways, I'm almost kind of talking about Doom Eternal. Like, in some areas, I felt like while Doom Eternal was a really good game, I just had more fun turning the difficulty down because it just felt like. And I get there are people who very much appreciate like, you know, really learning those routes and like those enemy spawns and those challenges. But like at a certain point, it's just like I am hitting my head against the wall in the same area. And Wolfenstein did this a little bit too. The
Which one?
the second one, Old Blood.
The Old
Whatever,
Blood's a separate game. It's
uh,
like
whatever the
it's a
second
side
one
game.
was, but it's like I just felt
Okay.
like so many times I'm like this area is full of enemies, or I'm so squishy for like just the sake of like it being hard. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm here to experience the visuals and get through the story and like have a good time shooting aliens or Nazis. Like you don't have to make me die 60 times in the same area for me to have a good time.
If I may, you do bring up a good point. Like difficulty for the sake of being difficulty, and some companies do difficulty in games really lazily, where like the enemies just have more health. There's no AI change. There's no other fixing. It's just they become more damage spongy, and if you like that, then you like that. But at least Doom Eternal and other game you're just talking about,
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein, New Colossus, I think it is.
That's it.
Um,
New Colossus.
those
Yeah.
those games let you drop the difficulty, and
Yes, and
no shame for me. I beat New Colossus in the easiest mode possible because I hate the shooting mechanics of those Wolfenstein games. I think they suck. I think the game is great. I just hate shooting in that game.
I honestly didn't mind the shooting. I will say I did turn the difficulty down in Doom. Because I just hit a point where I was like, I'm starting to not have fun. Like I'm enjoying this game and I want to see it
Yeah.
through, but if I keep dying in this area, I'm just gonna walk away. And I'm like, I'm just gonna knock the difficulty down right here, and breezed on through and had a rip roaring good time. Also, third sidebar, Ray, you buy popcorn on Amazon. I buy gallons of butter flavored popping oil on Amazon. So we basically do the same
Very
thing.
So normally I would like hit up Costco and buy those gigantic cases of like popcorn, but those cases of popcorn are so oily. I just feel off whenever I eat them. Like pop open the bag and eat them. So no, going to Amazon to buy my popcorn. Popcorn aside,
Might have some
Mike, you
popcorn.
can you've been playing a new Call of Duty game. You wanna tell us about that?
Yeah. So there, another Call of Duty has happened. The call has once again
As is tradition.
been made,
Literally, this is number 17 in the series.
and it is
Ugh.
Call of Duty: Black Ops Cold War.
Colon.
Correction. Call of Duty: Black Ops Cold War. There is no subsequent colon. I apologize.
It is really good that they have finally tackled the Cold War in Black Ops. Like, it has been long overdue. Like, it's just, it had to be done. Thank God.
I don't know
Yeah.
what to say to that.
And it's like I guess I mainly want to talk about my thoughts on the campaign.
Okay.
I think a lot of kind of what I said about the beta for multiplayer holds true. You know, I prefer the feel of Modern Warfare. I think the sound is like I feel like I need Josh to either just watch some Black Ops footage or like I don't know if they'll have like a free weekend or something, but just like try it. Just because I feel like he would immediately be like, "Oh, this is very different," and it just doesn't. And Modern Warfare hits a lot of just the core gun sound like very good. Like those things sound like they pack a punch, and they just don't have that same feel in Black Ops, in my opinion. And like there's a couple of other things that are streamlined, which is nice. I think it is a little bit more of a streamlined kind of experience compared to Modern Warfare. But I will say I think I've had a lot of technical problems. Like, it's not great when the beta actually ran better than the actual launch.
Ew.
But that's what I'm having here. I think I figured out it's some sort of like graphics thing I'm having, because like in my I have a pretty up to date computer, and it's just if I like run max text, like the highest on textures, which is something I was able to do in the beta, it'll crash in like 30 minutes, pretty much on the dot.
So it must be like you know what? It sounds like maybe the video memory is leaking and overloading your system.
I think that's what's happening, because I remember I think it was like when Destiny 2 first launched. I
remember you had a lot of problems with memory leak.
Because like it would just like your frame rate would be fine, and then it would just like just tank completely over the course of like half an hour, or like an hour or something. So like I think it's something like that. So I don't want to hold that too hard against them, but it's just crazy because like man, I wish things worked. That would be nice. I understand it's hard. But like
PC gaming, everybody.
PC gaming.
It's the future, I hear.
And
it's
so I guess like on the campaign, I won't go too spoilery. Since I don't know if either of you guys will play it, but it is as equally stupid as I expected it to be, and as it was like smart and fun in some ways. I think like it's equally stupid and is equally cynical as the Modern Warfare campaign. It has, I think it has kind of the same thesis, or the same kind of idea of like, yeah, we're bad guys, we're not good guys, but those guys, those are the worst guys, and the only way we can stop the worst guys is if we're bad guys, and if you're not okay with that, you're a pussy and a worse guy.
I think like in Modern Warfare 2, they kind of gave that away where Captain Price nuked America.
Yeah,
Captain Price.
Never forget.
So just that classic, Call of Duty. Yeah, it's very much like, it's like anti-CIA, but very much pro-CIA pro-CIA ops, intelligence, imperialism, empire, like at the same time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the Modern Warfare campaign does this in a lot more of like a serious way, that is just because it's like, ooh, you don't know who's friend, you don't know who's foe. Like the Modern Warfare, the lines are so blurred, when in fact the gameplay it's very funny. Like I will spoil this because it's
okay.
a smaller game, but like the Modern Warfare campaign, there's a part where you're like doing like a very tactical, like very very much echoing like a Zero Dark 30 like kind of operation.
The Housebreak mission.
Yeah. And there's like, clearly they're like civilians, there's like women and children, and they're like, you aim at a civilian and they're like their highlight is yellow or like white, and then they pick up a gun and it turns red, and you're like, oh, now they're an enemy, and then you shoot them.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, it's like the game itself, like the script is saying this, like, yeah, we have to do these things because you can't tell, but like the game itself is like, no, here's how you tell actually.
So I respect your opinion of the fact that that scene in that gameplay sequence, I didn't know about the highlights, but the fact that there are actual like in-game UI telling you who's good and who's bad, that's really bad because it
Yeah,
really
it's
takes
like,
away from the gravity of that
yeah,
situation.
exactly. It's like I understand how that, like, the mechanics of that work in the game, but
Mhm.
it's just so completely undercuts like the narrative
Yeah.
of Modern Warfare because of that. Uh, and like and Black Ops is like that in um a lot of similar ways. I think they do change it up in a couple of, like, I think I enjoyed playing this one a little bit more. I mean, it's just kind of more like, I kind of I like this period of history. I think it's really interesting.
Mhm.
They do some kind of fun things, some some America's favorite operations that you know and love, baby. They're all here. Um, they do, like, there's a little bit of like dialogue kind of stuff here and there that is, it doesn't, like, it all kind of comes around to the same points. But
Uh, I appreciate that like the teams that do the Call of Duty games are really trying their best to tell like more serious, grounded stories within the games, but
yeah,
I seriously think they peaked at Modern Warfare, and it hasn't really hit that same bar ever since. Like
yeah.
they
Like I
haven't
I
really
honestly,
I
like,
think the original Black Ops, like with the number stations
the
and
numbers, Nathan.
like, I think that was a really good like spy story, and like, there's something fucky going on here. I do think that was a pretty good, you know, Cold War spook story, but it's kind of all gotten a little more caricatured and silly from there, and then trying to pull it back and
Yeah,
take a position but not take a position but also take a position. I think that's where
like,
I think that's just also partially like the political climate and the world has changed since the era, since the time of like modern warfare, and like the way people view the military industrial complex and the CIA and the Cold War, like all of that has changed and colors the way we view these games and the messages they're
mhm.
trying to say and not say at the same time. um I don't envy the position of like Treyarch and all those, Sledgehammer and those folks, of like what they're trying to do, just because it's a lot harder now. It really is.
Yeah.
And you still have to
Eh,
make, that mass appeal, one of the largest games in the world. Like, you still have to make that game. It's just
yeah,
tough.
and I think, um, like, to your point, Josh, I guess I would say if you enjoyed the original Black Ops campaign, I think you will enjoy this too. I think you'll see that um, a lot of the beats are pretty similar. Um, I guess what else? Like, there were a couple of I think they do like a couple of fun things here and there to change it up. But just as just like as I'm sure there's some people are like, Mike, it's Call of Duty, just turn your brain off. But it's like, this is one of the most valuable entertainment properties
yeah, I was about to say
literally
that's a
ever.
lazy argument.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't do that.
these things deserve to be picked apart when they try to say things like, yeah, we know we're the bad guys, but like,
It's one of
it's
those,
just like,
I'm interested in play. Like, I will get to it eventually. It probably
uh-huh,
won't be until like there's at least like a 30% off sale or something like that, because
yeah,
I'm in no rush. I want to play Miles Morales first. I've got the new Dark Pictures anthology game I want to play. with my wife. So like, I've got other games to play in the hopper right now, so I'm not in any rush. But I'll get to it eventually.
What? No
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII remake? You need to get up on that.
But like, I guess
If I
just
can
like
commit to that.
you know, as a like a final like exclamation point, like takeaway here. As far as like people need to understand the extent to which it's hilarious to see like Call of Duty just in these past couple campaigns try to squirm around like what pro war like or like saying that what they're doing is bad but worth doing anyway. It's just like, you know, like the US Army has an esports team and they regularly play and they play Call of Duty all the time. So clearly anything that is being you need to like just that like I mean that just says it all, like, you know, like
Back into like a little bit of a side tangent onto what you're talking about, Mike, and also what Josh was talking about. Like, we in the United States have been at war with Afghanistan for so long that someone that was born at the start of it is probably now serving in it, like actively
yeah,
there right now.
like that's
Maybe
actually happening, yeah.
well,
There are
Americans are.
there are
Go ahead.
stories of like sons taking over their father's outposts that they like had when they had served. Like, you know,
That's not okay.
No, it's not.
None of that is okay. And so maybe Americans are starting to slowly be like, you know, war kind of sucks, and they're like being dragged into the
Yeah.
media
And
of
then
it.
like and that's a good point, right? Because like that's like the most cynical part about like the stories in these games is that they don't try to just say no, the war is good. Actually, they say, oh, we know it's bad. You know it's bad. You're a smart guy,
Mhm.
but you know it's worse. We don't have war.
Letting the
Can you
bad guys
imagine that?
win.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it is like a deeply deeply cynical like take. I mean, but it
It's
was like it's fun to play as Frank Woods and let him and watch him, you know, do dumb shit and shoot stuff. So
I can't
it's
take.
interesting.
it is the same reason why we our Warzone, you know, feature has the tongue-in-cheek name of War is Heck, because it like it very much has that vibe of like, yo, war is heck, but like, you know what, terrorist attack or hell, so you know what's worse,
Mhm.
heck or hell.
I know,
Ugh.
but those dang communists are he double hockey sticks.
Oh my gosh.
Ray, you're gonna have to bleep that. You're gonna have to, or we're
I
gonna
know.
get content tagged.
Yeah.
And
Might have to scrub this.
yep.
If you guys don't mind, I want to flip over real quick to Hades, because me and
That
Hades
sounds
have
great.
had a falling out.
Oh,
Like, don't get me wrong, I love the game. As Mike has been privy to, I've gotten into speed running the game, and I've cracked the
You're
code
dang quick.
to get it down to making runs at 14 minutes. I'm not chasing the world record. That's at like 7 minutes, almost flat. I'm not that good at the game.
That's incredible.
You could watch it online, and yeah, it's luck based, really. Like you have to
Yeah.
get the sticks, and you got to get the sticks in 2 rooms. And you get the Seder sack in 2 rooms, is what I mean to say. And you got to have Thanatos spawn like super early. Like if Thanatos doesn't spawn during any of your run, you're not gonna make it, or something like that. But the falling out me and Hades has is, you know, you beat the game. You get the big bad. I won't spoil who it is, but I think it's pretty obvious. And then they're like, okay, cool, you beat the big bad, but for story reasons, you actually have to beat the big bad 9 more times.
yeah.
And you
I think
go,
I'm at like 5 or 6 so far. Like I'm very close, but I'm not quite there
you'll
yet.
know. You'll know when you get to the 9th time. Something happens, and you'll know.
Okay.
I'll spoil that much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool when it happens. I was like, this is great. Supergiant makes great games. Then once you've gotten, like, you see the credits roll, then the game says, hey, by the way, there's an extra ending. It's the epilogue. And I've been playing this game, I think I've beaten the game 36 times. So, and I've beaten the game between, as I was just saying 14 minutes to half an hour. So it's not a matter of like mastery of the game. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of like RNG to just see the final ending of the game. And then,
Yeah.
last week I broke and I just looked it up on YouTube because
Yeah. I
that's
mean, like,
So that's about
sorry, go
20.
ahead.
That's about 27 extra runs. If you said
yeah,
you did 36, the 9 like official clears, that's 27 additional clears, and you still haven't like triggered that extra ending.
no, I haven't, and
I
it's completely random.
Yeah, because I think like I when I was playing through, like, it was kind of, I think it was based on like, because I think it's kind of based on building up your relationship with the
Uh,
gods. So what I did, I think there are ways, like, with the different little keepsakes to like guarantee that they will spawn.
Hmm.
do you have to
So
like
there are a
nectar
couple,
them
if
up?
you, yeah, exactly. So if you really want to get it in game, I think there are ways to like kind of to help get that down a little faster. But I haven't played Hades in quite a while. I've been checking out, pretty busy with the new Destiny stuff and Call of Duty.
Hmm.
But it is like, I don't know if it's like going to be a run game I will play indefinitely.
Yeah.
I mean, other than like trying to go for like the high skull clears, like I got the third tier skull clear trophy, which was fun. But I might
Hmm.
try to go for a few more of those. But I think, but yeah, it definitely kind of like it is like a run based game, but it feels like, I think because I've kind of played through, I've gotten most of the story beats done,
Hmm.
and they pack a ton of story into that game. But I think I've kind of hit the kind of end of most of the story stuff. So I honestly haven't played it in a while either. But it's more so than like I got disappointed with it. I'm just completely satisfied with that
Yeah,
experience.
I think it's less like I have a problem with the game. The game is fantastic. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't like try to. There's very few games I try to speed run. You could count them in like one hand, honestly. But this is a game I truly loved, and I truly wanted to get
Yeah.
Yeah, not
better at it.
not every game is
Yeah.
a game that you have to play forever.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
No, but this game, I just wanted the final ending, and my biggest problem with it is just
yeah.
it's locked behind parameters that the game says we'll give it to you when we feel like it, and that part kind of sucks, honestly.
Yes.
That like when they told me you have to beat it 9 more times to get the true ending. Okay, fine, I get you. It's all about the struggle. But this is like, now you're just toying with me. There are other games to play at a certain point.
Yeah, and I have had fun. Like, I was like, oh, when I finally learned that there was a option to get fresh with a couple characters, I'm like, okay, I want to see what the story. But there's even elements of RNG to that, and like sometimes you'll go 3-4 runs without seeing that person,
Yeah.
or okay, I did figure this out though. Like, let's say you go and you see that person, but they're talking to somebody else, and you're like, well, I can't gift them something because they're talking to somebody else. If
Yeah.
you go out of the room and you come back, you can then gift it to them because they'll go to their normal spot, which I didn't know, and I definitely have gone several times without giving the person I wanted to their thing. So I'm like, mother. Ugh.
But
But
by the way, I tried to do exactly what you're talking about, Josh. I tried to romance Magira. Um, and bear in mind, I started trying to romance her before I beat the game once. Of all my 36 runs, I still haven't. I'm at the point where I can finally give her the ambrosia so she gives me like a keepsake so I can summon. Um, I haven't met her since, and I said, you know what, it's not that important anymore. I think I'm done with this game.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
gonna lie, a
I
couple of times I have purposefully started a run because like, oh, it's like the shield is my dark thirst weapon. I'm like, I have gotten far with the shield. I actually almost got it clear with the shield. I might have gotten it clear. I don't know. Anyway, like I'll get the shield. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll die in the second room and get the whole like, oh, did you guys miss me? Oh, I forgot something. The little quips of Zagreus being like, oh, I'm back real
Yeah.
soon. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do this like 3 times in a row to see if I can get her to
Yeah.
like trigger.
Yeah, not to like, myself, but like, if I think like if you get to some like kind of like the way that the game works, I think like if you get like there's a lot of dialogue that kind of has like an importance tier, I think, and if you if you are able to really get get like actual clears done pretty quick, like it feels like it can a lot of a lot of dialogue can get kind of preempted, and can kind and like certain events will overtake other things that might happen. So it's like you kind of have to do. It's like that was something I noticed too. Like I wanted to like progress some of this other stuff, but it felt like I didn't have an opportunity to do so because like a lot of I was still catching up on like a lot of other dialogue. So I think that's just kind of like the nature of the game. I'll have to check and see how many clears I've done because it's probably
Last time you
over
showed
100 or not clears, runs, I should say. It's probably
Last
over
time
100 runs.
last
for
time you showed
sure.
it to me, it was about 120 plus. Your
Yeah.
runs, I forget. I think you were at 40 something clears.
Yeah,
47
that
or
sounds about
something.
right. That
Just
sounds
like
about
in my
right.
head.
I think I'm at 40 or 50 runs. I don't remember.
By the way, everyone, the gun is the best weapon in the game. Like, you would think that that would be obvious. The fact that everyone's using swords and shields and spears to try to tackle you or their body, and you're just like, click clack.
I actually gave up.
Go.
I gave up on a gun run a little while just before recording, because I got I think I got 5 or 6 rooms in before I got my first boon, and then it was a Hermes boon. I'm like, yeah, fuck this run. Like,
Oh man,
I started out with like a dead.
Get boons?
need. I think you need a Hermes boon.
Yeah,
Like,
there's like side hustle or the one that lets you dodge more than once.
Yeah,
Side hustle is great.
If you get side hustle early, you can be like, yeah.
No, it
investment.
wasn't a Hermes. It was a Dionysus. Dionysus.
What? He's a thug. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it wasn't any of the good ones.
No.
So
okay.
I was like, yeah.
backseat driving Josh in here. Like,
I'm like,
what you do, Dionysus?
I'm like, I'm just gonna
Dio.
I'm just gonna die on this trap and like go see if I can fucking give Meg some nectar.
Ambrosia.
And she wasn't there.
How's that feel? How's it taste?
I was very angry.
But I will say it's worth it powering through and just playing more of the game to get Thruple dialogue. I'm just gonna say that.
Thruple?
Thruple.
Who's Thruple?
You'll see them. You'll meet them.
Oh. I have no idea who this is.
No, I mean Thruple as in 3 people.
Okay.
Thruple.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the proper. Granted, I know what Mike is not quite saying, but it's a thruple is the actual pronunciation of.
I use a long U. Through.
Gentlemen, there's something that's near and dear to my heart I wanted to bring up on podcast format, and I was already super excited about it last week, is the team at EA Motive, their game, Star Wars Squadrons, which we play on and off every so often, it was a super successful game, and EA said, okay, you guys can keep supporting it. We're getting new ships for free. There no microtransactions still. New map, new ships, new support, custom maps, custom modes, and the new ships are the
custom
B-Wing.
maps. What the hell?
Yeah, they're introducing like custom modes where you could pick the map. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's the most cancer map?
I'm gonna make
Snap map.
It is.
I'm gonna make a surf level.
Stop.
But the B-Wing is coming. The TIE Defender is coming. If you don't know what the TIE Defender is, look it up. It's the dumbest ship in Star Wars canon.
Yeah, the
Guys,
B-Wing is now the second dumbest ship in.
What if a TIE Interceptor had an extra wing?
That's exactly what it is. It's like someone. It looks like fan art. Is what it looks like.
I have never loved a Star Wars ship more.
Yeah, it's like Grand Moff
Like,
Tarkin
seriously.
walked into like a board, like chief of like a military meeting, whatever you call it, I don't know, and was like, the like slide projector, gentlemen, do you see what this is? Look at this, and it's a picture of the B-wing. A brief moment, deep breath. The only way we can beat them is to go even dumber. And that's how we got the TIE Defender.
And of course, someone says, "How do we do that?" Introduce Fleet Lieutenant Josh, who says, like, "What if we took the TIE Interceptor and like Lego additions, put another wing on the top of it?" There's a hushed silence in the room, marveling at the genius.
I mean, Ray, you made the joke. You're like, sir, we can only attach weapons to hardpoints on the aircraft. We can only have 2 hardpoints on the aircraft. Why? Make 3. Add an extra wing. But sir, is this
Put
thing
another wing
flying
on it,
in
dumbass.
gravity or in space? The rules don't apply, motherfucker. Put the extra
Again.
wing on there.
How does it land?
Carefully.
They just make a new one.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't.
It's the
It's-
Empire, man.
You
They
can't.
can
You
afford it. They can
if it's landed, it can't defend. So obviously, it never lands.
It's called
I-
a TIE Defender, not a TIE Lander, okay? Can't you read? Come on.
When you're piloting a TIE Defender, you're committing.
They bolt that thing shut from the outside.
You when you pilot a TIE Defender, you get a catheter and a colostomy bag.
There is no exiting the TIE Defender. There's you're crashing into an enemy subsystem.
I mean, that's basically how it works in squadrons anyway. I'm not making it home from the war.
I'm not gonna lie, my Y-wing in Squadrons is equipped with the martyrdom thing to where you do explosive damage, and I'm like,
Yeah.
uh-oh, they're taking me out. Crash into the shield
If I
generator.
go down, I'm taking you with me.
I mean,
not-
that's
hey,
basically
it works.
that's my strategy. That's my favorite thing to do in squadrons is just to, like, get the absolute most Dark Souls ass ship I can get, just like the fat roll of ships, and just like go up to the ship and broadside them like it's fucking 1682, and just park and bark and like blow up the ship, and then if I get shot, I get shot, and then I'll keep trying to do it again. They have to get lucky every time. I only have to get lucky once.
I will say, for those of you that have not seen our videos of us playing Squadrons, Mike does
Look up my
play-
capital ship damage. You'll see.
Mike does do some
6 figures, son.
punk damage to some capital ships, where he just picks the TIE bomber and then just sits there and says, "What you gonna do about it?" Lasers coming out everywhere.
Because you got the Gatling laser, you got the fuck you laser, you got the forward shields. That's all you need.
Can you imagine what it looks like for the captain of Star Destroyers? Like, what is it doing? It's just sitting there.
It's like, sir, where is it?
menacingly.
Sir, where's the ship, sir? It's like, it's right there. It's right,
It's not
right
moving.
there. It's
You have
just
that moment of like,
standing.
should we shoot it? No, it's just one ship. What could it possibly do?
This is
Tell them-
all this is to say I really love Star Wars Squadrons, and my only one regret is I haven't played it in VR yet, because I hear that just elevates it to another level, and I can't imagine what that looks like. The prop looks great, but that's about all I have for news today. So Josh, go ahead and tell us where our lovely people can look at some of these videos that we have posted online.
Well, gentlemen,
Wow.
if you want to watch any of our content, first place. Oh, you know what? We forgot one thing. Mike, do you want to talk about Destiny? You've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Destiny. 30 seconds. Okay, there's a new expansion, Beyond Light. It's for Destiny 2. They took a lot of stuff out. I have enjoyed it. New raid looks great. I'm leveling up to do that. Haven't done it yet, but I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, I'm about a quarter of the way through the actual story content, and I think the story so far, and we kind of talked about this in a previous podcast, and the whole, like, this is kind of soft Destiny 3 and whatever. It's like, this is the first time I feel like that the content added to Destiny 2 has had similar weight to vanilla Destiny 2, like where the things you're doing feel like they have consequences, that there are stakes beyond just like, you're the eternal, space wizard who is going to go around and just like bust some dudes up, like
forward motion.
Yeah, there is actual advancing to not just like you as a guardian, but like the world of Destiny is moving forward. Like, people have died. There are things that are gone.
Planets are gone.
Yeah, planets are literally gone. There is new people are coming to say like, yo, you got to get involved. Like, the stakes are real. And granted, again, I'm only about a quarter way through the story content, but I am very, very interested to see where this goes, because again, it's the first time I've felt like it has been consequential in a while.
Yeah, and no spoilers, but after the raid was completed yesterday at time of recording, some new stuff did open up, like a whole new character who was someone who was very prominent in a lot of the lore surrounding this expansion, and has been very significantly name dropped in the past, like is finally like present, and I feel like it really kind of gave this expansion kind of the next little kick it really needed. Like, I've been really enjoying it, but I also think a lot of what Ray says about Destiny, I think really kind of applies, such that Ray, you've said that like they make Destiny for people like me.
Yeah.
And
Destiny
I think
is for the hardcore and people like me that play super casually. We're just along for the ride. Like, we don't matter, and that's okay.
And if in a couple of places, like, it really feels like that. Like, it's also on me I'm blaming myself. I should be blaming myself, because I'm like, I don't have to do this quest in one sitting, but I'm a sicko and I must. So like, when a quest asks you to like get, I don't know, like get 50 Vex kills with your sword, someone could just do like, oh, I'll just work on that over an extended period of time as I play the game as I want to. But like Skinner Box Mike is like, I'm going to go into this lost sector and find the most efficient cheese to get this done as fast as possible, because and it's like, I'm doing this and I'm like, it's fun for me, and I'm like, I'm excited for the reward I'm going to get this. But like, I can't like I don't think that would be fun for a lot of people. Just like, I don't think the way I play Destiny is like would be fun for like a lot of people who have maybe casually like, the kind of people who like check in every time around like the new expansion comes out,
like me.
Yeah,
maybe just like kind of do the campaign. It's just like, it's just like, it feels like it swung kind of harder my direction with like some stuff that it's like normally when you'd buy an upgrade from this vendor, now it's like an extra little bounty you do before you get the upgrade, and just like little things like that here and there that just like, I'm still really enjoying it, but I feel like in a way it's,
if makes you feel better,
mm-hmm.
I would never play Destiny at all if it wasn't for the way that you play Destiny. Because I mean, like, I'm very interested in the Destiny world and the Destiny lore, and I do wish that there was some way to bring some of that lore into the game a bit more. I mean, honestly, Warframe had a very similar problem. Like, there's so much to that world and that game and that system, but like, so much of it is walls of text that aren't even necessarily in the game. Like, some of it's like other places, but I do enjoy like playing Destiny and being like, okay, I remember something important about this, and then like, okay, Mike, tell me the story about this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's super really freaking interesting. I would never sit
it's
and
like
read the story about it, but like, I'm glad you know this, so you can tell me
it's
about
like
it and make me feel better about like playing this game.
it feels like in some ways it's like, do I recommend Destiny to people, and do I think people should play Destiny? Yes, I think Destiny is probably like, I think it's the game I've played the most out of any other game ever, probably at this point. I think that's a safe bet. But in a lot of ways, I feel like I just would not recommend it to someone who doesn't have like the person who can kind of hold their hand through some of this stuff, because like you kind of have to learn. It's frustrating in a way that you have to learn how to not. It's so fucked that I'm even saying this. Like,
It's
how to not
if
learn
somebody
how to not waste your time. Like,
yeah, if
it's
somebody
like, because there's someone out there who's like, oh, I need Vex sword kills, and that's gonna take them a whole. That'll just take them like, they'll just like play the game like a normal human, and like that step might take them, a couple of weeks. And like, I'm like, why would you do that? You can just do it in this lost sector, and just run it 5 times in a row, and then you're done. But that's
That
like not
horrible.
it is horrible.
That
It
sounds
is
awful.
objectively, but it's like, that's not. But I never want to like tell that to someone who doesn't want that experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well,
But,
you
like,
also have the problem now of like, okay, let's think about the hypothetical new Destiny player. Like, okay, I jumped into Destiny 2. I never got the chance to play Destiny 1, so kind of had like a lot of that spoon-fed to me by you and saying like, okay, here's what happened in Destiny 1. Here's why the things that are happening matters. But like, now let's say somebody picked up Destiny 2, because Destiny 2 is free to play technically. All of vanilla Destiny 2 is basically gone. You essentially start
like,
at Beyond Light, because everything that happens are on planets that are no longer there.
Yeah, and I actually I can't speak to this, but like, they did revamp like the quote new light experience, as they call it, and kind of, I think they crafted like a mini campaign that takes place mostly in the Cosmodrome.
Yeah.
But like,
okay.
and they kind of have like a new vendor. There's like new cutscenes and there's like, and you can actually pick up, like, veteran characters can actually go and pick up that quest line and do it, just to like see it.
I've never actually been to the
that.
Cosmodrome, so I should probably do that.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of nostalgia. Someone that started with Destiny 1. I was there opening day and like, oh, this is really cool. It's really cool to be back.
Yeah. And so I think like, and I feel like a lot of I think just in terms of like the general quest management, a lot of changes that they made to like the menus and stuff make that stuff a lot more clear, and a lot less just like, here's 50 cajillion quests, do all of them now. That it used to be like, they've gotten a lot smarter about like, just even in the quest steps, like just like being a lot more specific with the language, such that it like, I feel like that there aren't opportunities where people like would get confused and frustrated. Like, I feel like it's a lot more of, it's friendlier, I think, to approach in a lot of ways, without having to go full sicko brain me going like, here's the absolute fastest way to crank out this exotic quest in like 2 hours. Like, for example, like a quest step today asked me to run like, do like 3 nightfalls and get 60 stasis kills, and that's something someone could like work on, something someone normal like would work on over like 3 weeks or whatever. Just like, oh, I'll just do the nightfall when I do the nightfall, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna do 3 nightfalls back to back right now. And it's just like, I play the game in like a different. I sound like such a dork. This is terrible. But I play
like
the
someone
game.
that likes the game. So
Yeah,
cool.
it's like I play the game at like like a hobby grade level, and it just makes, in a weird way, it makes it difficult for me to kind of like recommend it, just because I'm like, I know how I enjoy this game, I don't know if someone else, if I like you said, Ray, like that doesn't sound fun to you, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like, for me, like that's what this game is, and for a lot of other people, it's not. So it's like I don't know what to say.
You
Sometimes.
either die a casual or live long enough to see yourself become the person who bitches about not having enough content to last 3 days.
I know.
I think that's, again, I say that's fine because it's not like Destiny 2 is not a popular shooter looter MMO. It's the most popular shooter
Schluter.
looter MMO on the market right
Schluter.
now.
Yeah.
And the people that love this game, they're massive. So it only makes sense to continue to cater to those
Yeah.
people. Because people like me that are casuals, I'm gonna pop in once a month. You don't have to cater to me. I'll be there. You keep the
You'll do
content.
the Iron Banner or something, you know, like.
I will not play an Iron Banner. Thank you very much.
Oh, come on, it's fun.
No,
You wanna,
that's where
Rat King.
casuals go to die.
No, it's not. It's fine. I'll carry you. It'll be fine.
So if
but,
anybody's
like,
curious,
I can I say one last thing about this?
okay.
Okay. So like, despite all of like my hand wringing about like the way I play this game, you know, how can people see how depraved I am with my Destiny grinding and be like and believe me when I say like, no, this game is fun, I promise. Like you know, today I did some missions that had some really interesting story moments with this new character who has been introduced since the completion of the raid. And today I also I got an exotic. It's a sniper rifle that it does like a big lightning bolt when you get a headshot, and if you get multiple headshots, it makes a lightning storm. And for the you know, there aren't a lot of like things that wow me in Destiny with anymore. Like when I try a new gun, I'm like, oh, okay. But like this sniper rifle was the first. It was like the first time in like a long while, maybe since like Xenophage last year, which is like one of my favorite exotics in Destiny. It's the goat.
I just like hard light. Just give me hard light. That's
Hard
all
light's
I
great.
need.
But yeah, Xenophage is an LMG with 13 shots, and it only needs 13 shots. It's like a tank gun basically. It's great. But like
What if those 13 shots were all basically howitzers?
Yeah, it's great. And it was and like I did like just a couple of like did a strike with this gun, and it was the first time I was just like in a while that I was like, whoa, this is cool. This is a cool gun. And it's just like moments like that where you just find something that is just really cool. It was a nice kind of like, this is why I like this game, because I got a cool thing, and I got to see how cool it is in the thing that I am. It's like, and that cool thing is so cool that it makes the things I do pretty frequently, like strikes, which you do the same strike a couple times, like a lot of times. Like it was so cool that it made that strike cooler.
Okay.
And that's what I've got on Beyond Light for now. Stay tuned.
So if you want to stay tuned to Mike's episode of My Strange Addiction, you can follow us at unscriptedgaming.com. You can get us on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, Unscripted Podcasts. Twitter, at unscript_gaming. You can get us on YouTube. If you want the video versions of all of our podcasts, you can go to soundcloud.com/unscripted-gaming for our audio version. We are also on all the podcatchers apps. So thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Ray.
My name is Mike.
Peace.